first of all, welcome those of you who are here with us live to another guest interview within Mindful Journey. I'm so delighted that you continue to remain engaged with us. And if this is your first time, again, welcome. If you've been with us for a number of these conversations, welcome back. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat function, and then we'll work to get to them on the back end of the conversation. And sometimes in real time, I will bring them up to Jim in the moment. I'm excited to bring you our guest today, Jim Shorkey. Again, some of you may have heard the aside that he and I were just having. Jim and I have not met in person, candidly, but had a great conversation just about a month or so ago. Having grown up in the Western Pennsylvania area, I am, of course, familiar with the Jim Shorkey name, as he was the founder of the Jim Shorkey Auto Group. He currently is retired outside of that business, but not disengaged from business. He continues to be an entrepreneur, leads a company called Results from Thinking. Rethink You is a course that has 8 pillars, tenets, principles, call them what you may, that Jim has attributed to being what has been instrumental for his success in life. And how it is that he'd been able to go from bankrupt, imminent, to growing a profitable business. And some of these steps that we'll dive into today are really meant to help you all, us all, live with more vitality, with more passion, with more energy, with more enthusiasm, and quite frankly, achieve success, whatever that may be defined by from your standards. We're here hoping to get incrementally better day after day, moment after moment. So with all that being said, Jim, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Looking forward to our time together. Yes,
thank you for having me. I'm very excited as well, and very grateful, very, very grateful. So thank you for this.
Of course. Would you mind sharing with the listeners, those, of course, who may be, from outside the Western PA area, what your work had been for so many years leading Jim Shorkey Auto Group, and then what it is that you're doing now as well?
So correction, first of all, I am not the founder of the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group. My father is. And the business was founded by my mom and dad in 1974. I was a senior in high school, graduating, going on to college from there. And so I was the original janitor at the dealership when they started in 1974. And I was a darn good janitor. I really took pride in that job. So I went off to college, came back, worked summer jobs while I was in college. I was a janitor, car washer, car detailer. I was a parts guy. I was a service guy. I sold cars. And I graduated from college in 1978 and came back to, came directly to the dealership from there. And I started selling cars, sold cars for a little over a year, moved into management, and then moved up and up and up and up. And my father and I and mother together, we bought out my dad's partner, Mr. Hamilton. And so at that point, once it was paid off, I owned 24% of the stock of the corporation, and my mom and dad owned 76%. And so things progressed forward. I was the heir apparent, designated. And when my father died very suddenly on March 24th, 1996, and I often say, if I was half as smart as I thought I was when my dad died, I would have been really, really, really smart. The fact is, I had no clue. And but it was my big chance. I was ego-driven, arrogant, know-it-all. I decided I was going to run the business the way I wanted to run it. So I proceeded to do that. And I'm running the business the Jim Shorkey way. People try to give me help, advice, because my dad had died. And I wasn't interested. I was going to do it my way. 2 years later, I'm bankruptcy imminent. Too much month at the end of the money. I was a negative $100,000 in the bank account. I was going down. And at the time, I was reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I was reading the book, but I really wasn't executing the book. And I remember reading it, and I'm really messed up. I'm sad. I'm really sad, and I'm losing it. And so I made a spiritual promise to Napoleon Hill, who had already passed away at that time. And I told Napoleon Hill, I said, if you get me out of this mess, I'll do exactly what you tell me to do. And so I proceeded to do that. And I'm reading the book. I got my highlighter. I got my pencil. I'm underlining. I'm doing what he's telling me to do. And there's several steps within the book that I'm not going to get into, but I find that most people don't do these steps, but I did all the steps. And one of the big points of the book is this idea of seek expert counsel. Find somebody who is smarter than you, who has done what you want to do successfully, and have a conversation. And so the only guy I could think of was Mr. Hamilton, who was my dad's former partner that he and I had bought out. And I knew that he knew, I knew that he was a good dealer, car dealer. He had the boats, he had the cars, he had the house in Florida. He had all the things that I wanted to have. And he was very well thought of. And so, anyways, I would go into Mr. Hamilton, uh, hat in hand, and I told him, I said, Mr. Hamilton, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing. I need help. And I asked him for a list of 10 things that I should be doing to be a successful automobile dealer. And he called me James. He said, James, let me think about that. You come back tomorrow morning and I'll have a list for you. So dutifully, I go back the next morning. He hands me this really neatly typed up list. I wish I had the list. I don't know what I do with it. I don't have it. It'd be great to be able to show it to you. But he gives me this list. And the first thing I do, like a lot of people, I'm looking at the list and it's like, I came to realize I'm not doing anything on this list. Nothing. There wasn't one thing I was doing. So I proceeded to start to do the list, and that needle, which was flatlined, no pulse, started to move. And so I kept doing a list. It's moving, 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 kept doing it, kept doing it. But I proceeded from there to go back to Mr. Hamilton on a weekly basis to have a conversation, kept asking questions, kept getting new ideas. I call them disciplines, new disciplines. And then Mr. Hamilton recommended that I join a think tank, which I did. And I would go to the think tank and I have a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper. I would write at the top of that paper, I am here to learn. No more arrogance. Oh, by the way, I promised Napoleon Hill, if he got me out of this mess, I would never be arrogant again. And so that's a big part of my fundamental uh, life journey is arrogance is a really bad idea. Anyways,
Mhm.
so I'm in think tanks and I would write, I'm here to learn. I'd write the number one down and it'd be a blank space next to it. And I'd look for my first idea. So I kept doing that. I just kept going and going and going and going. And so the business became incredibly successful. It was really beyond my wildest imagination. And when I started, it was one dealership, my dad's dealership. And when I left, it was six. When I started, it was 40 employees. When I left, it was, I think, around 500. And now that same group, which the children own and operate and run it totally independent of myself. I'm not involved at all. And it's now uh, selling probably, I don't know for sure, probably 12,000 cars a year versus when I peaked out, it was maybe around 5,000. So it's way bigger. It's now 20 dealerships and they're really doing well. So, but I got a lot of trophies and I got a lot of awards and I got a lot of handshakes and pats on the back and call outs like, hey, Jim Shorkey's here. Hey, look, this is the guy, that kind of a thing. But I knew when it was happening in my heart of hearts, I knew that it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Mhm.
It was the mentors. And I thought, geez, if I take this knowledge to the grave with me, I'm going to be really, really selfish in doing that. So I decided probably 12, 13, somewhere around that 2012 to 2013, that someday I'm going to open up a company and I'm going to teach the people what I know. And so when I retired 2016, I started this idea and it's called Results from Thinking. And the program, which is Rethink You 2.0, it is literally exactly what I did for my part in building the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group to what it is today. And so I teach this idea, and that's what Rethink You is all about. So that's a long answer to a short question. Have I answered your question to your satisfaction?
Absolutely, Jim. Yeah, lots of points to pull out of there. Thanks for the clarification on my mishap of initiating
No
founder.
worries.
But yeah, it's a lot of things that I could pull and want to pull out of there. And let me start, I guess, with just you know identifying the point you made of people were calling you out, shaking your hand, giving you a pat on the back. How did you ensure your arrogance didn't get at a high when you promised yourself and you promised Napoleon Hill that you were, going to remain humble? Because in our encounters, I do view you as a man of humility, and I also subscribe to it. I think we need more humility in this world. Arrogance is why I think you can look at challenges in rising mental health and folks who get into addictive tendencies, et cetera. It's because they feel like they need to have this outward appearance of arrogance to project strength, but it inherently diminishes what they're feeling internally. So that's a long-winded way of saying back to you, how did you ensure that all these accolades did not cause you to remain or get back to a state of arrogance?
Well, first of all, a promise is a promise. So I did make that promise to Napoleon Hill. And that said, arrogance is the number one enemy of any successful enterprise, be it a church, be it a marriage, be it a friendship, be it a business, doesn't matter what it is. It's the number one enemy. Arrogance pushes people away. So if you're running a business, do you want to push people away? Do you want to push your wife away, your children, your friends, whatever the case may be? So the reason that it would, first of all, I did make a promise, which was a very sincere promise, but I knew what happened. I'm a realist. I knew what happened. The reason that I failed, and I was a failure. Let's make no doubt about that. I was a failure. I was a loser. And a lot of people want to hear me talk this way. They want to interrupt me and say, Jim, no, you're never a loser. Yeah, I was losing and I was a loser. And I had to figure that out. Losing is a call to action. Losing is an opportunity to dissect the information and figure out where you went wrong and let's go fix it. So arrogance was my first problem because I had people call me wanting to help. They were my dad's friends. I wasn't
Hmm.
interested. That's a terrible thing. So when I was getting all the awards and the trophies and the trips and all the different things, I knew that that wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't. And as a matter of fact, you may or may not know this, but there's three fundamental goals at the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group that grew out of this. Okay. Number one, number one goal of the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group is to love the customer. And I do mean love them. I mean, kiss them, hug them. I'm talking figuratively here. Kiss them, hug them, love on them. Because if we don't love our customers, we won't have any customers. So I want you to really
Yes.
ponder that and think about that, okay? The second number one goal, and it sounds illogical, right? How could you have two number one goals? Because this is really, really important. So the second number one goal is to love the team. And I do mean hug them, kiss them, again, figuratively speaking, love on our team. Because if we don't love our customers, there's not going to be any customers. If we don't love our team, there's not going to be anybody to love the customers. So it implodes from there. So number one goal, love the customer. Number one goal, love the team. Now, if you do number one, love the customer, and number one, love the team really, really well, you get to be crazy successful. And I'm kind of zeroing in on what you asked me. We get to be really, really, really successful. And the things, the money, the profit, the car, everything starts to fly. And the number one enemy of any successful enterprise, as I've already said, I'm repeating myself, but it has to go in line with what I'm telling you. The number one enemy is arrogance. So I developed my third goal, almost number one of the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group, was to keep it very, very, very humble. And that was the one, ironically, that I had to really uh, aggressively attack the most because I would hear a conversation, I would hear two team members talk, whatever the case may be, and I say, "Hey guys, hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is not going to get it. If you don't change this arrogant attitude, you're going to have to make room for somebody else because we're not going to let this happen." The number one
Mm.
enemy of any successful enterprise is arrogance. So the third goal, almost number one, is to keep it very, very, very humble. And I started that idea back in 2008 at the beginning of the Great Recession, the worst recession since the Great Depression. And so it was in I developed what is called what we call it the prosperity plan, and it was in there. But I had already been practicing it before that because of what I promised Napoleon Hill and because I knew I could see what happened. And it's like, I'm not going back there. I mean, when you wake up in the morning, you have a negative $100,000 in your bank account. Not a fun day. Not a fun day.
Hmm.
So I
Right.
didn't want to go back there. Pain is a great teacher.
Mm.
You put your hand on that hot burner one time, you won't do it again. You won't
So
do it again.
true. Yeah, it's so true. Yet, and staying on that topic of pain, we all face different painful moments, be it physical, emotional, mental, etc. Yet, as much as we talk about it, it's easy to say, yeah, I'm willing to learn from my failures. But what I find from personal experiences, a lot of people don't like to talk about their shortcomings and failures. What might you recommend to us, the listeners here who are going through a, painful time in their life, Jim, that they want to suppress, and maybe they're looking to different substances, et cetera, to suppress. What did you do to ensure that you could confront those painful moments and continue? Because I know you still, you and I, and we can get into some of the health challenges, et cetera, to your level of comfort. But what have you done to ensure that these painful moments, these failures, if you will, don't go by the wayside, but you're willing to dive into them and face them and confront them?
Well, first of all, let's understand, ladies and gentlemen, this is not medical advice. I'm a worn out old car salesman. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an MD. I'm not a psychiatrist. So this is not medical advice. But I'm only going to answer the question from the perspective of what I do, did, will do in the future. So, number one, when you are failing, which I've failed many, many times, failing is nothing more than information. And if you are failing, it's a pretty darn good indication that you're probably doing something wrong. And so if we could just isolate it and say, wait a second, wait, I heard that Jim Shorkey cat say, this is just information. So I'm failing. I have an F, or my times aren't as good as I wanted them to be, or I didn't sell as many cars as I wanted to. Whatever case, I'm failing relative to what I want to accomplish. So it's information. And the information being that I'm probably doing something wrong. So that being said, the first step in my genre of what I want to do when I'm failing is to call it out. See,
Mm-hmm.
suppression is going to create depression. So
Mm,
I do not want to suppress my losing. I want to call
mm,
it out. I want to put it out on the table. I want to look at it. I want to hug it. I want to kiss it. I want to massage it. I want to say, okay, what is this? What is it? What is it? What's going on here? And then I want to figure out, okay, what do I want to do from here? And this is a fundamental idea that I want to share with the audience today. Things get better when I get better.
mhm,
And my question to the audience is, what if that's true? What if things get better when I get better? So let's talk about self-doubt. When we do fail, we have self-doubt oftentimes. In other words, we don't think that we can get out of the failure. We have self-doubt. We feel hopeless. So what is the antidote to self-doubt? Self-improvement. Things get better when I get better. So if that's true, which it is, then I got to start working on me. I got to start working on me. Jim Rohn used to say, work harder on yourself than you do on your job.
yes.
So if you're losing at your job, go to work on you. And that's where the expert counsel comes in. I mean, who is your Mr. Hamilton? Who is your book? Who is your YouTube video? Who is it that you want to listen to say, wow, I mean, if she can do it, I can do it. And that's
Mhm,
what I learned about self-development. I really did listen to these different people. My first experience with self-development was Brian Tracy.
mhm,
Brilliant man. And I listened to him and I thought, holy cow, what is this? And I
yeah.
started from there. So I always felt that if somebody else could do X, then I could do X as well. And it wasn't a question of arrogance or confidence or anything like that. I found out that the things that they did really weren't all that complicated. They just,
Mhm,
for example, um, I meditate every morning. Okay.
mhm,
And somebody would say to me, "Hey, that's a good idea. Had you ever considered meditating?" No, heck no, I never considered that. Well, why don't you try it? So I started trying it. Well, you know what? Turns out it's a pretty darn cool thing, and it's something I can do. You and
yes.
I had a conversation today, did we not?
Yes.
I said, "Well, I got about 20 minutes." I said, "I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go out and go for a walk." I said, "I'll leave the screen open when I get back, just so you know, if you don't see me there, I won't be here. I'm gonna go out for a walk." Well, I did. I went out and I walked a little over 1 mile. Now, when you think about it, if things get better when I get better, walking that 1 mile is helping me to get better. And it's something that I could do. So a
Yes.
lot of the things that we need to do to get better are doable. And when
Yes.
we start, Wayne Dyer used to say, if you're depressed, he said his number one play for depression, and again, please, I'm not a doctor, so please don't misinterpret me, Adam. But
Yep.
he said, and he, by the way, was a psychotherapist. He said that do something, do anything, go for a walk, do some gardening, clean the house, take the garbage out, do anything, get into action. And so, and I'm not sad, I'm not depressed, but while I had some downtime, which Jim Rohn, it was, again, you'll hear when you hear me talk, he's one of my favorite self-development guys. He always
Mhm.
said, make your downtime prime time. And I told you that's what I was going to do.
Yeah, you
So
did.
I feel better because I did that. Is
Yeah.
that going to make me a millionaire today? No, it's not. It's not. But I feel better. And if I feel better, the next thing I do, because I feel better, I'll probably do a little better. And then
Hmm.
I'll feel good about that. So sometimes it is a question of baby steps. But if
Yeah.
you're feeling down, what if I'm right? What if doing some push-ups, jumping jacks, going for a short little walk, listening to nature? That's another one that's advised is
Yeah.
forest bathing for
Mhm.
those of us who are sad. Get out in nature. It's like, oh my God, it's overwhelmingly cool.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Yeah. So much wisdom in there, Jim. Great stuff. And agree with you wholeheartedly. Sometimes it's just those small wins and they stack over time where you build your energy. It's like the toughest thing. I've been an avid gym goer for, 15 years, and really it's part of my DNA at this point. But there still are days where I don't necessarily want to go, where, the workday gets away from me. I find myself it's 8 or 9 o'clock and I'm like, gosh, the gym I happen to go to closes at 10. So I'm like, I just need to go. And I find that once I'm getting there is the toughest part. Once I'm there and immersed in it and feeling the energy from the environment and actually doing that repetition, I am more inclined to finish now. And then I have momentum that leads me to the next task if there is something else that needs to be done. So what you're saying undoubtedly resonates. And I like that you shared that meditation is a practice that you engage in, because I'm always trying to give our listeners something tangible that they can do, because if you turn on a different YouTube video, some what I hear from folks, and these sometimes are the pessimists, if you will, is, well, that's great, I've got plenty of inspiration, but I need something tangible to help me execute on that inspiration. So I think the meditative practice is something that we can point to that maybe primes you in a way to give you that edge to go take that 1 mile walk. So I'd love to hear from your vantage point what that meditative practice looks like. Is it guided? Is it you just sitting in solace? Is it, so again, I open ended to share with us what that looks like, how much time you typically spend, and then what think the benefits have been.
Okay. Well, so first of all, I don't sit. I lay, which is probably contrary to what Buddha would recommend, and I'm cool with that. So what I
Yeah.
do is I lay on my back and I have a pillow under my knees and I just belly breathe. So I really focus on my breathing. If there are sounds around me, I try to focus on those sounds. It could be the birds outside the window here. It could be somebody in the bathroom brushing their teeth, taking a shower, whatever. I try to focus on those sounds and also focus on my belly breathing. So I'm breathing with my belly out in, and through my nose. And I might say I'm not a meditation expert, but it works for me. And
Hmm.
and and I have this thing. Oh, I'm sitting on it. I have this thing. I'm actually sitting on it. It's called an acupressure mat. And you
Okay.
can look it up on Amazon right now. It's called an acupressure mat. And it actually is like a bed of nails, and you lay on this thing, uh, butt to shoulders, basically. It's like a yoga mat almost, but it's like a bed of nails. And they're like if you look at a set of golf cleats, the cleats on the bottom, these almost remind me of that. So you lay on it and it hurts when you do it. It really does. But as you belly breathe and learn how to recognize the pain, now think about this as we talk about losing. Recognize the pain, deal with the pain. You relax in short order and the pain goes away. And so you've overcome a pain point, like you're laying on a sharp, pointy object.
Hmm.
And so I do that. And typically I do about a half an hour to 45 minutes. And what I do with the mat is I get myself relaxed, the pain subsides. Then I move the mat down my body. So where it starts at my shoulders, now it'll be the middle of my back and it hurts again. So I got to
Hmm.
breathe through it again. And I've learned how to do this. And I want to tell you something, that a lot of what we do with our recommendations is more mental training than it is physical training. And so if you're going to be a runner, the hardest part of being a runner is putting your shoes on and lacing them up. So the hardest part of going to the gym is going to the gym.
Yeah, that's
Once
right.
you get to the gym, it's like, I'm here now. I might as well go and do it. But what happens is that space in between I'm going to the gym and physically going to the gym and getting to the gym,
Yeah.
the brain starts to talk you out of it. Ah, come
Yeah.
on. You worked out yesterday. You're good. You're doing good. Come on, take the day off. You deserve it. And next thing you know, you're talking yourself out of it. So I view going to the gym as mental training. Okay.
Mm.
Mental training. I take cold showers every single day. Highly
Mhm.
recommend it. Cold showers. The coldest I can make the water, I take it. And so when I'm outside the shower, I turn the water on. I'm butt naked.
Mhm.
And the brain says, what are you doing? Going to take a cold shower. No, you're not. Yeah, I am. What are you crazy? No, you're not. Yeah, I'm taking a cold shower. And I get in there, face in there, boom, right in there. And I take this cold shower and I'm in there for probably a good 15 minutes and a total immersion into that cold shower. And it's cold. I mean, it's really
Mhm.
cold. But I
Mhm.
consider that to be mental training versus, even though the physical benefits of the cold shower, you can look them up. I mean, the medicinal benefits, I should say, and again, this is not medical advice, but they're very, very strong. So I do that. If I take a shower, it's going to be a cold shower. And the big part of it, I believe, in my mind, is the mental training. I think also
Mhm.
in your particular case, what you mentioned about the gym, and tell me what you think about this: all or nothing thinking. So
Mhm.
I'm going to go to the gym. How long, when you go to the gym, how long do you work out for typically?
60 to 75 minutes,
Okay.
hour 15.
So what your brain will tell you is that if I can't do 60 or 65 or 70, I'm not going to do anything. Now, how
Mm.
the heck does that make sense? It
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense at all. Because if you did go to the gym and you got in, let's say 20 minutes, way short of the objective, would that be a good thing for the body of Adam James?
Yes. Yeah.
But we don't do that because of all or nothing thinking. Either I'm going to do it all or I'm
Yeah.
not going to do anything. So I just did it now. I went out. Yeah, I would have preferred to go for a 5 mile walk. I went for a 5 mile walk yesterday, but the
Yeah.
time was restrictive to the point where I knew I could only do a mile, but I did the mile. I could have said, you know what, hey, if it's a mile, what's the big deal? But I did that mile. And
Yeah.
so you got to be careful when you're trying, remember, things get better when I get better. Just talk about
Hmm.
me. Things get better when I get better. I got to be careful that I don't use all or nothing thinking to talk me out of that baby step, which I
Yes.
guarantee you that baby step could change everything for you because it's going to lead to another baby step and another baby step. And next thing you know, you got 10 steps in play. And it's like, wow, pretty darn cool. So watch the all or nothing thinking, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. No, and it's a great, and I'm glad you brought that up, Jim, because I do think that I'm probably unknowingly to me, I've used um, that like the opposite of that thinking, kind of what you're recommending here to get to the gym. I'll say to myself, well, maybe I'll just do a light workout tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe and that gets me there. But what's interesting is once I'm there, and maybe this is a non-negotiable I've set in my mind, or just my personality or my why that's pulling me, if you will, that once I get there, I end up doing the full thing anyway. So it's almost giving myself permission to get me there, to say I don't need to do the full thing, but once I am there, I tend to end up doing the full thing. But this leads me to think about
Spot on.
something else
Don't,
that,
don't,
and
don't, don't,
yeah.
don't move on yet. You're spot on because you're going to go there. And let's say you are going to pick a small number. I'm going to do 10 minutes and I'm going to head home. Well, can you do 12? I got 12. Can you do
Yeah.
13? Can you do
Yes.
15? You know what? I'm at 15. I might as well just go ahead and do 20. You know what? You text the wife, say, listen, I'm at the gym. I'm going to be a little bit late. Hope you're okay. Am I okay? Yeah. And then next you know, you're at a half an hour and then maybe 37 minutes. It's like, that's a heck of a job, man. That's going to
Yes.
change your life. So you can add on to that minimal number. You really can. And that's what I do as well.
Yes.
I agree. I agree.
Yes. That's great stuff. That's great stuff. How important is it to give yourself grace in this pursuit of excellence? And before, I know I've given you the question, but I want to frame it a little bit with better context for you and also for the listeners. When you and I connected a couple weeks ago, I loved what you had shared, and I don't have the phrase verbatim, but I asked you about what contributed to your recent health challenge, and you said, and forgive my language, everyone, but you were like, "I was a dumbass. I didn't, I didn't follow what I needed to do." Yet I felt from you that you had accepted it, but also given yourself grace. Would you mind sharing with our listeners? And again, I'll open it up. Do you mind sharing about the health challenge? And then the second part of that, I'd love to dive into is how important it is to give yourself grace in life.
Well, I'll open up with gratitude is what you're referring to, correct? When you say grace, gratitude?
Yeah, just kind of, I think people beat themselves up when they make a mistake. They beat themselves up when they do not go to the gym, right? Because there are still going to be moments where we maybe fall short of our own expectations, or if we do just walk a mile versus the 6 miles. I find that in talking with friends, they'll beat themselves up if they fall off track, and they'll be like, "Gosh, I'm such a failure. I'm such this," and it's this negative self-talk. So, yes, grace, gratitude can be an intersect between the two. But really, what I'm thinking is, like not, perpetuating this negative self talk in the mind.
Okay, well, the bottom line is what I do is based on expert counsel. So, first of all, I have a goal, right? It's very important to have a very clear, concise, crystal clear goal. So, I have a goal. And then I have reasons why that make me highly emotional. Okay. So, I say often, if your reasons why don't make you cry, you're probably on the wrong goal. So number one is establishing a goal. Number two, do my reasons why make me cry. Then I seek expert counsel to figure out how am I going to get from where I'm at now to the goal. And so there's going to be a series of steps. I call that my list. There's going to be a to-do list and a to not do list, which I'm engaged in right now. On my to-do list is to eat wild caught salmon 2 or 3 times a week. On my list is to do blueberries and olive oil, not necessarily that order every day, leafy greens, different things, physical exercise, on and on and on. So I've got this list of things to do. Now, when I do my list, sometimes I am going to come up short. And so what I would say about that is we're looking for progress. The goal is perfection. It's always perfection. But the hidden goal is progress. As long as I'm progressing towards perfection, then that's good, right? And so I go to sleep at night. I look at what I did, and it was a failure of a day, and I don't dwell on it. What I do is I recommit to the list,
Mm,
and I'm going to give you an idea that everybody should embrace. When morning comes around and it's time to rise and shine, mean it. Mean it. I'm going to rise and I am going to shine. So even though I came up short yesterday, I've got my list. And now today, I'm going to try to get this whole list done. And I'm going to keep doing that and doing that and doing it. And over time, there will be the up days and the down days or the mediocre days, whatever. But over time, I will consistently get the whole list done or pretty darn close. And I'm going to get to where I want to get to. So you absolutely have to move on from the down day. You have to leave it behind you.
mhm.
I mean, it's over, it's done. So you'll sleep better. Be grateful for what you did do today. If you have a list of 10 things and you got one thing done, that's a loser. But you did get one thing done. So embrace that. Say, I'm glad I did that. And and then give yourself some grace as to the things you didn't do and just recommit to the
Yes.
list for tomorrow. Because today's over. We're going to sleep, and we don't want to go to sleep with this called rumination. Rumination is a killer. So we
Yes.
don't want to ruminate. We want to give ourselves grace. Be grateful for what you did do today, and maybe you didn't get the list done because you went to visit uh, a sick friend, or maybe you had a number of errands to run. And so even though you didn't get the list done, you still did these things. Which let's face it, there's you can't get 26 hours out of a 24-hour day. You just can't do it. There's only
Right.
so much
Right.
time in the day. So there may be some reasons why you didn't get the list done, and it may be just a shortfall on your part. But let's give ourselves a break. But we got to commit to tomorrow is the day. I'm going to start today. When I say rise and shine, I'm just challenging the audience to mean it. I'm going to
Hmm.
shine today. Today's my shine
Hmm.
day. And then
Hmm.
we'll evaluate that at the end of the day and say, I didn't get 10 out of 10, but you know what? I got 7 out of 10, whereas
Hmm.
yesterday I only got one. That's a huge victory. You know,
Definitely.
talking about a huge victory. So
Definitely.
you just it serves no purpose. Rumination serves no purpose whatsoever.
Hmm.
It just doesn't. So does that answer
Hmm.
your question? Did I answer your question to your satisfaction?
100%. Yeah, you're I love this, Jim, because in my roundabout way, I know I can get lengthy on the question asked, and you're pulling out the key points of it and giving us great answers. So no, you're doing awesome and inspiring and giving us some tangible items too. So this has been great so far. With gratitude, I'm glad you had brought that up. I know we focus on the grace, but do you do anything in the morning around gratitude? I know some people will answer questions of, what am I grateful for in the mindful journey? One of our prompts when folks are logged in is, what are three things I'm grateful for as a morning prompt? Do you do anything like that as well? And if so, have you seen any tangible benefits in your mood or your energy as a result of it?
I don't know that that's a subjective question. I don't know that you really would see the benefit, but you would feel the benefit. So let me
Hmm.
give you an idea. So I had a stroke. I had a very serious stroke, three brain bleeds, hemorrhagic stroke, should have died, should have, could have, would have died. And so I have, as a result of what happened, whether it's a surgery I had to have done or just a stroke in general, I have neuropathy in my right foot, my right leg, excuse me. And it's kind of weird. It's like when I touch my right quad, it feels like there's foam rubber over the quad. It's not like I feel it, but it's a weird feeling. I have pain in my foot. And so I go to acupuncture once a week. And I was talking to my acupuncturist about this. And she said, you know what, James, that's really good that you feel pain. She said, a lot of people, again, not medical advice, please. He said, a lot of people with neuropathy have no feeling at all. And so I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I do have feeling. I can feel that. So I started developing a gratitude practice around my feet.
Mm,
And I will be out walking and I thank my feet. I'll say, hey, thank you for checking in. Because your feet report to your brain where you are in time and space. And so if you have zero feeling in your feet, you probably would not be able to walk unassisted. It would be really, really problematic because you can't feel where your feet are. You can't feel what you're landing on, if it's a rut or whatever, trip over stuff, whatever the case may be. So I started thanking my feet, and I'll just be walking along and say, hey, and I'll feel a little pain. And rather than getting all grumpy about the pain, it's like, hey, thank you for that. Thank you for reporting in.
wow, it's
I appreciate
powerful.
it. It is powerful, yeah. So I also, when I'm walking, I hear the birds. It's like, hey guys, how you doing this morning? Thank you. Wow, you sound so cool. I'll see a squirrel. How you doing, buddy? What's going on, man? Yeah, you're working hard. Hey, thank you. So I try to get out in nature and I try to thank the trees. Like, great. It's a Japanese tradition called forest bathing. I forget the name for it, but it's a Japanese word. I forget what it's called, but forest bathing. And back in my days of being arrogant, somebody talked to me about forest bathing, and I said, "You're full of crap. I'm not going to do that." But I started
Yeah.
doing this. Like I'd go up to a big tree and just put my hand on that tree and think, "Holy cow, what have you seen, man? Where have you been?
Mm,
Tell me some stories." And of course, there's no stories, but I've got my hand on this tree, and is there a tangible benefit to that? I can't say that there is, but I feel better. You see
mm.
what I'm saying? I mean, I just feel
Yep.
better. I feel like it's pretty cool. When I'm walking through the woods and I hear the birds, I feel good. You know what I mean? But I can't put it to a test. Like I know
Yep.
if I check my blood pressure, that's a statistical thing and it's an
Yes.
objective thing. Whereas, so I can't stand there and say, well, guess what? My blood pressure's dropping. I don't know. I'm in the woods. But I do know
Right.
that I feel better. And remember, I said this from the very beginning, things get better when I get better. And what's wrong with feeling a little bit better when you're not feeling so hot? So
Yeah.
that's why I think Wayne Dyer's advice was very, very pragmatic in terms
Yep.
of do something, get out there. Even
Yep.
laying in the grass is a very therapeutical thing that I do that's
Yep.
beneficial. It just
Yep.
feels good. Getting out in the sunshine, I'm a big fan of that. Different things. Again, not medical advice, but um, I
Yeah.
really do practice gratitude. So, for example, when I'm doing my meditation, I really focus on the breathing, but within that meditation, I will go through my grandchildren and I call them up like Lila Grace. Oh, thank you for Lila Grace. And Sophie, oh, geez, you're so lovely. It makes me cry. Thank you. Simon, my buddy Simon James. Thank you. And Hadley and Evelyn and Theo and Owen. And I'm just so freaking grateful for these grandchildren in my life. I have nine. I think I
Yeah.
might have, did I get them all? Oh, I missed, I'm sorry. I did. Russell James and William Dennis. And so I have Lila, Sophie, Simon from my daughter, Katie. I have Hadley and Evelyn for my son, Jim Shorkey III. I have William Dennis and Russell James from my son Russell, and then I have my youngest son. We have Owen and we have Theo. Theo and Owen, I should
Amazing.
say. Theo's the oldest, but it's like, man, I mean, I'm so grateful for these children and my own children. You know, I
Yeah.
have four children, they all significant others, and I'm so grateful for these children. You know, really, when you get grounded the right way, pretty darn easy to be grateful. How about this? Should we be grateful today for America? I love America. I
Yes.
cry when I hear the national anthem. I cry looking at the flag in the air. I cry. And I know
Yes.
that I don't want to get political. I know there's a lot of stuff out there. But you know what? For Jim Shorkey, the guy sitting here talking to you right now, life is pretty darn good. And
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
remember Jim Rohn said, life is part difficult. It is. But he also followed it up with life is not all difficult. And no matter
Mhm.
who you are, what you are, whatever the situation is, life is definitely not all difficult.
That's right.
There's opportunity within every single piece of adversity for us to say, well, you know what? Yeah, this really stinks. But look at this over here. This is
Hmm.
pretty cool. So there's
Yeah.
opportunity in adversity. And we just need to be cognizant of the fact that there is opportunity there and go looking for it. And amazingly,
Definitely.
you'll find it. You'll find it.
Definitely. Yeah, Jim, wow, lots to unpack in that piece as well. Two things I wrote down so I didn't lose my train of thought on this. One is you're paying attention when you're out in nature. I think we're living in a distracted state today, and technology is a beautiful thing, but it can also be our detriment. We're living in this constant state of reactivity and there's one of the psychiatrists that we had on in Mindful Journey, Dr. Anna Lemke. She'd written a book called Dopamine Nation and been featured in a Netflix documentary, Social Dilemma. She has the research to back up what it's actually doing to our brain's physiology, where we're becoming reliant on it. Not trying to paint a picture that it's a bad thing, but I do believe that what you're saying is 100% beneficial to us in feeling better, in just noticing what's around you. Just, I always say to myself, be where your feet are. It's just a little thing that I say to me to be
I love it.
present,
That's
and
great.
it's like what you're mentioning of you're feeling your feet on the ground, just bringing intentionality to it. So I didn't want our audience to miss that, because I think it's an important point that when you're out in nature, of actually feeling the tree or listening to the birds with an attentive ear is powerful.
The crunch of your feet on the ground, the things you have to
Yes.
step over, the bubbling brook, whatever the case may be, the
Yes.
sun, looking up in the cloud. It's like we can say thank you a lot more. And I really don't think this is going to happen. I don't think this is going to happen. I think when you show up at and this really isn't going to happen because I'm not going to do this, but let's say I'm dead, DEAD, and I'm in the coffin and I'm laying there, and this is a viewing, which I am not going to do. But let's say I did. And so you come to the funeral home and you're looking at me and I'm dead. And you say, geez, what happened? Oh, Jim was looking up at the sky and thanking the clouds. Took him right out, just killed him right in the spot. Jim was thanking the squirrels and the birds. Jim was hugging a tree. Yeah, knocked him out, man. Just killed him. Nah, that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is it's going to say, what happened to Jim? Well, you know what? He ate too many Doritos in his life
Yeah. Yeah.
and it killed him.
Yeah.
But no, the gratitude is not going to take anybody out. Never
That's
will.
right.
It's just not true. It's not
That's
true.
right.
We could
That's
all
right.
be more grateful for the great things that we have in our lives. I don't care who you are, what you are, there is going to be something that we can be grateful for. And that's just me talking. I don't know your
That's right.
backstory. So I feel a little guilty giving anybody advice about gratitude because I don't know your backstory. I really believe that before we can give anybody advice, we need to know their backstory. And
Hmm.
maybe it wouldn't be appropriate. So I'll leave it at that. But for me, I want to practice a lot of gratitude. I think I could do a better job at it, to be frank. I
Hmm.
do.
Hmm.
But I think it's very powerful stuff.
Well, the other thing I wanted to mention, I'm glad you finished that statement with the gratitude, is when you were just going through your grandchildren's names, I could feel that you were immersed in it, and this is where sometimes I think um, people, when you're talking about a book like Think and Grow Rich, or the other book that's out there is The Secret, that talks about kind of this manifestation and visualization. And admittedly, I believe in good old fashioned hard work, but I also know that visualizing things is beneficial because it's worked for me. Yet, what I think happens to a lot of people who are skeptics of these types of tactics is that they just say, oh, I want to be rich. I want to be this. I want to be healthy, but they don't mean it. They don't feel it. They don't immerse themselves in it. And I could just feel from you when you were practicing gratitude as it relates to your grandchildren, your eyes were closed. You were passionate. You were feeling it. And I would love for you to share with us, Jim, your mantra, because funny enough, my fiance and I think she's probably on here. I've shared with her your affirmation of I'm a money making machine. Yes, I am. So, number one, would you mind sharing with our listeners
Oh, I love it.
what is an affirmation? Because some people might be hearing this for the first time. What is an affirmation? And then what are one or two affirmations you have in your life, whether it be financial related, health related, etc.? And give
Okay.
us an example, please.
Okay. Um, so an affirmation is this is this is a illogical answer, but an affirmation is an affirmative statement. So I am agreeing to the statement. I am saying, yeah, I'm in. I'm going with this, right? So I am a stroke recovery. I hate to say the word victim, but I guess that's the word I am. So one of the affirmations I'm doing right now, I do it in the cold shower, is I feel healthy, I feel happy, I feel terrific. Yes, I do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You always want to close out your affirmations with a thank you, attitude of gratitude. I feel healthy, I feel happy, I feel terrific. Yes, I do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll say that, 20, 30 times in the shower. The next affirmation I do regarding, again, the stroke is every day, in every single way, I am getting better and better. Yes, I am. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Every day in every single way, I am getting better and better. Yes, I am. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And remember, I said earlier, things get better when I get better. If I want to recover from the stroke, which I do, then I've got to get better. So, it's a proven fact that this guy right here, the brain, is highly malleable. Not medical advice, meaning that it can change, and it can change for the good. I feel healthy. I feel happy. I feel terrific. It can change for the bad. My life sucks. I had a stroke. I don't feel real good. My life sucks. It can rewire to the ugly. So
Yeah.
I'm rewiring to the positive. So I feel healthy. I feel happy. I feel terrific. Day by day, or every day by day, in every single way, I am getting better and better and better. On and on. So my money affirmation, I had a bad relationship with money. I was raised under the idea that you don't love money, and I gave that a lot of thought through my self-development journey about, like, well, how am I going to bring something into my life if I don't love it? Like, why is it a bad thing to love money? And so I figured, okay, I got to change that, because
Hmm.
so here's what I did, and I can't get into the deep weeds here because it'd be a long story. I don't think we have time. So here's the affirmation: I love money. I love making money. I am a money making machine. I am a money magnet. I am attracting money to me. Yes, I am. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the money. I love money. I love making money. I am a money making machine. I am a money magnet. I am attracting money to me. Yes, I am. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the money. Now, I couldn't say that right now if I didn't say it. I would be able, this is you
Right.
know,
Right. Yes.
I'm not reading from notes. This is impromptu. I am speaking extemporaneously. And what did I tell you? I said, before we do this, I'm not going to do it if you send me notes. I don't want
Right.
notes. You ask me
Right.
whatever you want to ask me. I challenge you. What did I challenge you to do before we started?
Trip you up to trip you up.
I said, try. I dare you. All right. So that's the money affirmation. I said it a million times. And I changed my relationship with money. And so
Yes.
I learned this from I don't know who. It might have been Jim Rohn, but I learned that when you have money, you need to bless the money. All right. So this is money. So the first thing I do to bless my money is I arrange it respectfully. And I just pulled this out randomly. I didn't know you were going to ask me about money. So there's a one, and there's another one, and there's a 20, and there's a 20, and a 20, and a 20. Uh, I don't have any 50s or 100s. So anyways, but they're all arranged respectfully, head facing up, pointing up, right? I want to be respectful of the money. And when somebody gives me money, I want to say thank you. Thank you. Remember, thank you for all the money. So it goes in my wallet and I'm respectful of the money. Because how are you gonna have a great relationship with your wife if you don't respect her? Okay. And if that makes sense, well, how are you going to have a great relationship with money if you don't respect it? Okay. So that's the whole idea behind money. I had to change my relationship with money. And money is a great thing. There's probably a lot of people throwing darts at me right now. I'm cool with that. I don't care. I know how important money is for the things that I want to do. And so that's my affirmation. The next affirmation that I'm doing right now, which I got from Wallace Wattles, who wrote a great book called The Science of Getting Rich, and another book called How to Get What You Want. Now, audience, how does that appeal to you? How to get what you want. Doesn't that make you a little curious? You can buy it on Amazon for $10, okay? How to get what you want. And within that book is this affirmation that I stole. I have nothing, by the way, that's original. Everything I have, I stole, borrowed, whatever. So here's my affirmation for stroke recovery and just success in general is, you ready? I can succeed. All that is possible for anyone is possible for me. I am successful. I do succeed, for I am full of the power of success. I can do what I want to do. Yes, I can. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can succeed. All that is possible for anyone is possible for me. I am successful. I do succeed, for I am full of the power of success. I can do what I want to do. Yes, I can. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When I'm doing an affirmation, I have 100% stroke recovery in my mind, okay? And I have my reasons why they make me cry, and I'll try not to cry. But my granddaughter, Lila, is 13 years old, and I'm a deep thinker. And so I've thought this through the whole way through. And I figure in 15 years, I figure between all my grandchildren, there's a high probability, I'm a math guy, that there will be a great grandchild. Well, I thought this through. I want to hold that great grandchild. I want to talk to that great grandchild. I want to walk with that great grandchild. I've thought it through. And in order to do that, I have to do my work, because 20 years from now puts me at 87, right? So I have to do my work. So when you talk about affirmations and praying and manifesting and all that, I say, okay, I think that's a great idea. You might want to throw in a few push-ups though once in a while.
Yeah.
You might want to go for a few walks, hug your wife, all these, manifesting has been vastly abused. It's not enough, gang. It's not
Yeah.
enough. We
Right.
can sit all day and think about all the money we want to make, but you got to go knocking on some doors, which is a tough deal, and
That's
say, hey,
right.
how are you? My name's Jim Shorkey. I'm here to sell you XYZ today. Bam, door slams.
Yeah.
Next door.
That's right.
And
That's
eventually I'm
right.
going to find somebody who says, well, tell me more. Okay, here we go. But
That's right.
yeah, manifesting is great. Manifesting is great. Visualizing, what's it, dream boards, all these different things, they're
Yeah.
great, but you got to do your work. And
That's
so
right.
you're right. Manifesting is one more thing to do on the list,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's not a list of one thing. It's a list of 20. So I am a big believer And I'm a really big, I don't believe in the law of attraction. Sorry, throw darts at me. I don't believe in that. I don't. I really don't. What I do believe in though, I do believe in the law of personal attraction. And so if I get better, smarter, quicker, stronger, better shape, I'm going to be attractive. And I think this conversation that we're having right now, I'm attracting you to me, am I not?
Hmm. Hmm.
And you're attracting me to you. That's the
Hmm.
law of personal attraction in action. And so
Yes.
if we want to be successful and the idea of things get better when I get better, what does that look like? I'm just a better person, hence more attractive, and I'm going to pull people in. So if I want to sell
Yeah.
cars, which I did, the number one rule that I professed was we had to get the people to like us. And we're
Yeah.
very hard on getting them to like us. Once they liked us, then we had a better chance of selling a car today. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Definitely, definitely. Well, I'd love to. I want to be cognizant of our time for maybe 5 minutes or so. I'd love to, Jim, end on maybe somewhat of a lighthearted note. Well, at least for this question, then perhaps we can end a little more deeply. But the car buying experience is obviously something a lot of people dread. You're seeing a lot of companies now that come up like these Car Maxes and Carvana, where you can just buy online. Tesla, of course, I don't even think they have an in-store showroom. So there's a model that is somewhat disruptive to what you had been so used to. For our listeners today, of course, obviously it'd be wonderful if we all buy a car from Jim Shorkey Auto Group, and
Sure
we,
would.
I recommend that to everyone because my understanding is that your sales folks don't operate off commission, and I know you're not immersed in the business anymore, and it might have changed, but this is a long-winded way of me asking for those who are in the market for a car, for those especially who fear going into car dealerships and having to do the haggle game back and forth. What's a tip or trick from the insider that you might be able to give us so that we don't walk out paying 5,000 more than we need to?
Well, do your research, seek expert counsel, figure out what should you buy the car for? Are you willing to go 100 more, 1,000 more, 5,000 more, whatever the case may be? What should you buy the car for? That would be the first thing seek expert counsel, do the research. But, it really does that idea starts with me as a entrepreneur. And it doesn't matter whether I'm selling cars, insurance, I have a grocery store, whatever the case may be. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's Theodore Roosevelt, by the way. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so if I go back to the fundamental rules of the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group, the fundamental goals, it truly is love the customer. And it truly is love the team. And it truly is keep it very, very, very humble. And so our idea would be to have you come into the dealership. You're here. I mean, you came in. I didn't. You're here. And so my idea would be to have a conversation with you to try to figure out what it is that is most important to you relative to the car buying experience. So I would say to you, I would say, Adam, we've got roughly 2,000 cars on the lot right now. And if we spend 5 minutes looking at every car, okay, we're at 10,000 minutes, divide that by 60. We're going to be here for hours. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to ask you a few questions so that I can narrow down what my recommendations would be. Would that be okay?
Yes.
So let's walk through it. Adam, in your process called car buying, car ownership, today, tomorrow, and even down the road, 10 years down the road, your whole car buying relationship, let's call it. What is most important to you?
Having a safe, reliable car at a fair price.
Okay, that's three things. Okay, thank you for overloading me. Let's assume those aren't things. So
You
you want
told me to
to,
trip you up, Jim.
yeah, you can't trip me up. So you gave me three things. Let's go with those. Okay, so you want a safe car, and you want a reliable car, and you want, did I hear affordability?
Yes.
Okay, so safe, reliable, affordability. So Adam, beyond the obvious, why is safety so important to you?
So I don't have a family right now. I'm speaking hypothetically. So my family
No,
is
no, no, no,
right.
no, no, no. I don't want you to speak hypothetically. So let's start again. Beyond your, what is most important to you? I want you to speak today. I want you to be the guy. You're here in my showroom. You want to buy a car. What is most important to you?
Yeah, so still safe, reliable, and affordable,
Okay. Safe, beyond the obvious. Why is safety so important to you?
so that I can live to see 100 years old and see my great grandchildren at some point and hold them as well.
Do you see what I just did?
Yeah.
I took it from logic to emotion. You want me to keep going?
No.
I took it from logic to emotion. So, by
Right.
the way, I'm taking notes. And so when I get, I'm gonna find a car that's safe. I'm gonna show you every aspect of this car that makes it safe. The airbags, the ABS, the whole everything. And I'm gonna ask you, it's my first close. We're not even in the showroom. I mean, we're not even sitting in the showroom. We're outside looking at the car. I'll say, Adam, you mentioned when you first came in that safety was very important to you. You said you want to get to be 100 years old so that you can hold your great grandchildren. Did you? That's what you said, correct? Do I have that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think this car would satisfy that safety requirement?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Great. And then I'm going to go into reliability and then I'm going to go into affordability. And I'm going to make it the idea behind entrepreneurship is to find a need, fill the need in the most efficient manner possible, and then charge for that.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it for Pitt. And selling is nothing more than a transfer of enthusiasm. So,
Hmm.
in order to be enthusiastic, in order to be a good salesman, I have to have the enthusiasm in me. If I gather the right information, I can enthusiastically present the safety aspects of this car. And I'm transferring the enthusiasm from in here to you. And so
That's
you're going to
right.
be enthusiastic about the safety, the reliability, and the financial aspect of it. And if I do all these things efficiently, then I'm going to sell you a car today or tomorrow
Hmm.
or whatever.
Hmm.
It really does. If we can find out what the client wants and satisfy the wants and needs, and if we can really know at an emotional core why these things are important to them, um, then we got a winner.
Yeah.
And so the other guys they're not on the table anymore. And so when you say about these different models that are out there, yeah, they're out there. They have nothing to do with the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group, nothing whatsoever.
Right.
We operate a traditional model. People do come into us. People do want to drive the car, kick the tire, sit in the car, smell the car, the whole thing. Are there people out there that want to buy a car in a different fashion? Yeah, we'll do the best we can with those as well. But
Hmm.
the vast majority of our sales, I think, are the traditional methodology that I used 30 years ago.
Hmm.
And I'll give you, okay, I'm going to answer a question that you haven't even answered me. A good friend of mine, who was a great salesman, he recommended a book to me called Selling Through Intimidation. It's actually a real book. It's on Amazon. And my instant thought was, not interested,
Hmm.
not interested. I'm not going to sell this way. And you know what I said to him? I said, have you ever tried to sell through love?
Mm.
Have you ever tried to sell through love? I love my customers. I'm going to intimidate them? Does that sound like love?
Not at all.
Not at all. So it's
Right.
like, I love books. I don't want this book. I love this guy. I don't care. I don't want the book. I don't like the title. So I'm not going to sell through intimidation. I'm going to sell through love. I'm not going to talk to my team through intimidation. Although I made that mistake. I admit it. But that's not the answer is to love my team. Now, sometimes we do have to discipline and reprimand and all that. But we don't have to be disrespectful.
Right.
We can do it with love. We can say, you know what? You did XYZ yesterday. I'm not happy about it. I need you to fix this. If you don't fix it, you're going to have to make room for somebody else. But I don't need to be disrespectful. And oftentimes, unfortunately for me, I was, in fact, disrespectful. And that's where you have to call it out. You have to be a big boy and call it out. Sometimes I will call it out right in the middle of a meeting. I say, you know what? I talked to Joe yesterday. I was disrespectful. Joe, I want to apologize to you in front of the team. I hope to never do this again. And I'm sorry, it's not cool. What I did was not cool. I was disrespectful. I think that if you look at running a business centered around disrespect, it's just the business can make $1 million. It's just not a fun business. It's just
That's
not.
right. That's right.
Disrespectful. It's like, oh God, how do you live with that? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going to pass this on to my children. And the first thing we do is we disrespect everybody. Oh, great,
Yeah.
count me in. Like, no, we love everybody. We love our
Yes.
customers. We love our team, and we are going to keep it very, very humble. And I don't know. Did you ever hear the story of Bill Walton?
I have not. Just one second before I answer, I just wanted to
That's what I'm saying.
I know I want to hear. There's a guest who said he had to run. I just wanted to acknowledge him. Carlos, thanks if you're still on. Thanks for being here. He mentioned, as always, great
Thank
insight,
you.
good information. So thank you, Carlos. And then we do have a question from another guest too that come in
Let's do
relative
that.
to arrogance. But let's know. I want to hear the Bill Walton because we still got
Yeah,
time. I mean, anyone who needs to jump can jump. As long as your time is still good. I'm sorry, Jim. I just wanted to get to those before the guest
yeah.
popped off. Um, so yeah, please. I love. Obviously, Bill has recently passed. For those not familiar, Bill Walton was an
I
NBA
didn't know that.
legend. Yeah,
Mhm.
you're talking about the basketball star, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I
He just
know. I
recently
know.
passed.
John Wooden died.
Yeah,
You're
Bill
sure?
Walton. Bill
Did he
Walton just
really?
passed.
Okay.
Yeah, about a
Well,
month
here's the
ago.
story. Here's the story.
Yes.
Bill Walton is arguably the greatest college basketball player ever, all-time great NBA player, one of the greatest basketball players ever. I don't think anybody would ever argue with that. He was great. So he's a young guy. He's in college. UCLA wins the national championship. Bill Walton is the most valuable player. And so John Wooden had a policy, no facial hair, no hair over the ears. And Bill Walton was a hippie. He was decidedly a hippie, and he was one of these guys. And so they win the national championship. Walton is the most valuable player. So the next year they come to fall ball and they're shooting around, and Walton has a long red beard, long hair, and and Coach Woodenbottle had a policy: never cursed, never raised his voice. He just didn't do it. So he
Yeah.
calls Bill Walton over. He says, "Bill, can I get a word with you?" And Walton goes over and says, "Coach, I know what you're going to say, and I want to be very clear here. This is my face, this is my beard, this is my hair, and I live in America, the land of the free. I can wear my hair however I want to." And I'm paraphrasing, of course.
Yeah.
John Wooden looks him in the eye and says, "You know what, Bill? You're right. You're right. It is your hair. It is your beard. You do live in America. It is the land of the free. And you can wear your hair and facial however you want. I agree with you. We're going to miss you."
Yeah.
You can find it on YouTube. And what do you think Bill Walton did?
He stayed. He shaved his beard and he stayed.
Raced across town on his bike. He rode a bike, 7-footer, rides his bike, goes across town, finds the first barber shop, throws the bike down, runs inside and says, "Cut it off, cut it all off." And he shaved. And he comes back and it's a great story. YouTube it. And there's
Yeah.
more to it, little other details, but okay. Anyways, but yeah, we're gonna miss you. You don't have to be disrespectful. John Wooden was not disrespectful. He just said, "We're gonna miss you. We love
Yeah.
you. We're gonna miss you." And the fact is, you're going to make room for somebody who is going to comply with our ethics, and that's what I had to learn as a leader to be to corrective action and be respectful. And sometimes
Yes.
we did have to eliminate people because they weren't
Yeah.
cooperating. So
Well, and culture is everything in a business, in my opinion, and it,
it
it
is.
requires intentionality. So I've always been a believer that in business, in my speaking leadership training days prior to rolling out Mindful Journey, I've had the good fortune of working with a lot of companies with really effective leaders, and I would often ask them, would you be willing to keep your highest performer, who brings the most toxicity, or would you rather have somebody who's a mid average performer who's a great cultural fit? And inevitably, it was always, yeah, we want a great cultural fit because we can train for the technical skill sets. Because a high performer, even if you're talking about a salesperson, he or she's generating $1 million of revenue. If they're bringing down 2 million in revenue and people turning over, they're not really generating revenue for you. So I love what you said about that Wooden story, Jim. You and I are and I hope our relationship continues to evolve
It
because
will.
I
It
really
will.
I love your mind, and we could have Mindful Journey guest interview 2.0 and talk all business because there's so much value that you bring from that vantage point. But let me get to the guest question that popped in. the guest asked, where does arrogance, this is dating 1210 was when it came in. So when we were talking about arrogance, where does arrogance come from and why do people start getting it as they start succeeding?
Arrogance is I'm better than you, I'm smarter than you. Arrogance is mean-spirited. It just arrogance basically means that I'm better than you, so therefore, why would I listen to your knowledge, your information? It's very dismissive. It comes from it's sort of like a human condition that you see it everywhere. And it's just a very, very slippery slope from the perspective that it pushes people away. If you go into a room and you meet this arrogant person, you're probably going to move away from that person towards somebody that's really kind and really nice and sweet and gentle. And I don't know. I despise it, and I despise it in myself. So it just have where does it come from? It's having a wrong perspective on life. And for me, I got burnt by my own arrogance. When my father died, he was part of a think tank. And being a member of this think tank, when the founder dies, the think tank brings in a team of people to help the survivors run the business. So I get the phone call. Says it was Jeff. Jeff says, Jim, we're going to bring a team in to help you out. I said, not interested. I got this.
Mm,
And I resigned from the group. That's
wow.
arrogance. And I messed
Yeah.
up. But guess what? When I joined and actually ended up joining the same group, I rejoined a couple years later when I was bankruptcy imminent. And I would go into those meetings and I would write a top of the paper, I am here to learn. See, that's the
Yeah. I
antithesis
love that.
of arrogance. I am here to learn. And in order to learn, I got to shut my mouth, open up my ears, and open up my eyes and really listen. And interesting enough, when you talk about listening, active listening is a very complicated subject because depending who you talk to, anywhere from 70 to 90% of our communication as human beings is nonverbal.
Mm,
So when somebody will say to me, Joe Schmo, he'd be a great salesman. He's got the gift of gab. My immediate answer is that's exactly what's going to make him or her a terrible salesperson. Selling is not about gabbing. Selling is about listening.
listening.
You have two
Yeah.
ears and two eyes. So you listen with your eyes, you listen with your ears, and the best thing you can do is shut up and stop
Yeah.
talking and let
Yeah.
them talk to you. So, because when you talk so much, they take that as arrogance and it
Yeah.
pushes them away. But if you listen, like, hold on a second, could you say that again? You really are showing them verbally and non-verbally that you care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And by active listening with your eyes and your ears, you're presenting a case of non-arrogance. So I don't know, maybe another answer to that question would be, how does it happen? It happens due to mindlessness, due to
Hmm.
not being present, due to being so caught up in the positioning of your tie that you're not paying attention to the customer, the client.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I just think it's I guess back to the corporate philosophy of the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group, love the customer. And I do mean love them, love on
Hmm.
them. I mean, do that. How could you
Yeah.
be arrogant and love on somebody?
Yeah.
Love the team. How could you be arrogant and love on a team? And when you do proceed into arrogance with your team, well, you're not loving them.
Yeah. For
You're not
sure.
loving them.
For
You're really
sure.
not. You're really not.
For sure. Well, Jim, I we can pause there, but I am so deeply grateful to you.
Me
You
too.
were
Me too.
absolutely amazing. This was fantastic. Thank you so much for the wisdom. Thanks to those of you who are still on with us here currently, or those who end up seeing this on demand and make it through this point. Jim, I will put a link to his website to Rethink You 2.0 so that you can learn more about that program and course. And then, of course, the link to this will sit in the on demand for Mindful Journey and then on YouTube, etc. But Jim, you and I will connect offline, of course. I'm
We
so
better.
grateful
We
to
better.
you. Absolutely. I'm going to call you as soon as we get off here and appreciate you very much.
And I have a disappointment to share with you.
Uh-oh.
You didn't ask me about my shirt.
I couldn't see it the whole time. Oh, we weren't able to see it. What
How
I
do I do
still
this?
can't see it fully. Oh, yes. Oh, the places you'll go. I love that. Your favorite book. I'm
It is
so
my favorite
disappointed.
book.
I'm so disappointed we didn't
It's
get to
my
see
fault.
it.
It's my fault.
No, no.
You know, if you a great exercise would be to get that book in the hands of the listeners because it's a book about life. And it's a book about the struggles of life. They're real. Remember, Jim Rohn said life is part difficult. Life is not all difficult. And so I have a massive chill right now just thinking about this book. It's my favorite book. And it's actually become a graduation book, a commencement book, because oh, the places you'll go. And I'll try to say this without crying, but and will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. Kid, you'll move mountains.
Mm,
Wow. That's some powerful
places
stuff.
you
Get
go.
that book and read it and think about your children, think about your wife, think about yourself. Oh, the places you'll go. What if that's true? What if there were all kinds of places we could go? Do you want to get
Yeah,
there?
absolutely.
You want to get there?
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
can show you how. I can show you
Love
how.
it. Love it. Good
Oh, the
stuff.
places you'll go.
All
All right,
right.
man.
Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day, Jim. I'll see you.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I'm grateful.
Sir. Thank you. Take care.
All right, man. How do I get out? Okay, leave. There it is.
Out.
I got it.